I recently found a very old journal of mine. It was filled with notes about all sorts of things. But after a while, I realized something really weird. I didn't understand what half these notes were about anymore. I didn't know what they meant. Make sure to call G. 19.5 is the best setting. Today was a really hard day. Who is G? What did I need to call them about? The best setting for what? What made this day so hard? It felt like I was reading the notes of a stranger. Hi, I'm Ryder, founder of the Bullet Journal Method, a simple life OS that has helped people from around the world write a better life. In the last video in this series, I showed you a few ways to future-proof your thinking. Today, it's about future-proofing the notes we use to capture that thinking, so you can get the most out of what you write down for years to come. Let's dive in. Let's start from the outside in. Whether it be digital or analog, the first way to future-proof your notes is to commit to where to take notes. Without a clear commitment, many of us fall victim to note creep. Over time, you begin to take some of your notes on Post-its, others in notebooks, others in journals, and some in the shiny new note-taking app of the week. Note creep causes two issues. One is small, but the other one is potentially catastrophic. The first problem is having to decide over and over again where to take notes. This wastes energy and leads to the real problem, not knowing where to find important notes again later. That has cost me a lot of stress, money, time, not to mention really important ideas. To solve note creep, define a source of truth. Pick one place where you'll take all your notes. Maybe for you, that source of truth will be an app like Obsidian or Notion. For me, that's my bullet journal. Whether my notes are personal or professional, all of them begin there. Now, to be clear, once you have a source of truth, you can still move your notes around. For example, I often move some of my reading notes, which I take in my notebook, into my Obsidian database so I can use them in very long-term or super complex projects. That said, I never have to wonder about where the first place is where I wrote something down, so I can always find my notes again later. So why do I use a notebook? For many reasons, but here are two main considerations that also apply if you are a digital note taker: obsolescence and ownership. One of the perceived benefits of digital note-taking is how easy it is to link your resources from around the web. However, studies show that just after a few years, a significant percentage of those links become dead ends, taking all the referenced information with them. This phenomenon is known as link rot, where links to websites, articles, resources gradually break down over time. And that's only the beginning, though. The bigger vulnerability is ownership. When your source of truth is a digital app, its features and functions depend on company priorities. So just when you have a perfect setup, some update breaks a key part of your system. That, of course, is if you can still access the app at all. When you don't own the container for where your notes live, your notes can suddenly disappear or be locked behind a barrier or a major price hike without notice. This recently happened with a popular note-taking app that's been around for over a decade, where a customer's bill allegedly went from $60 a month to $1,000 a month with minimal notice. Online note-taking services, especially those funded by VC or private equity, don't always last, or they don't stay the same. That's the nature of business. Business models change, companies get acquired, products get folded in or sunset. To fight this and to future-proof your notes, you can do two things here. You can capture your notes in a format that is open-sourced, and you can capture those notes on a physical medium that you control. When it comes to apps, this often boils down to file formats like Markdown and being able to store those files locally. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, you can ask, can I take notes offline? And can I open those notes in other programs with no problems? If the answer is no to either, you likely don't have enough control over where your notes live. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do a deeper dive into that. With a notebook, none of this really matters. What does matter, though, is the quality of the materials. Most notebooks on the market are made by companies that produce countless other products, and it shows. They feel like afterthoughts. My suggestion here is to buy notebooks from companies that focus on making notebooks. For example, when I created the official bullet journal notebook, I reached out to a company that's been making notebooks for over 100 years. I was a customer before I was a collaborator. You can learn more about the official bullet journal notebook here. Cheap notebooks are prone to falling apart. Pages tear out, bindings break, the ink bleeds through thin pages, making your entries difficult to read. Each notebook can help us better understand and navigate our work, our world, and ourselves, but only when the content of our notes makes any sense. So now we just talked about where to put our notes, which brings us to the next consideration, how to take future-proof notes. Without a structure, your notes can become an incoherent swamp of random to-dos, ideas, insights, and information. Once you've committed to a source of truth, it's time to implement a system keeping that source organized. Otherwise, your future self may have no idea where to find what. This is where the bullet journal method comes into play. Here are 3 simple ways the bullet journal method can help you future-proof your notes. 1 is to have an index. This functions like an address book for your notes. It allows you to both quickly find your notes in the future, as well as give you a bird's eye view of what you were paying attention to during the lifespan of that notebook or folder. Yes, you can bullet journal digitally. The second is collections. You populate that index with collections. These are dedicated pages that aggregate all notes related to specific topics that matter to you, like family memories, projects, career insights, or therapy notes, for example. Simply by taking related notes in the same place, you provide them with greater context, which helps to future-proof them. Bullet journal is really a life operating system for writing a better life. It helps you process the past, organize the present, and author your future. That's why the real magic happens with the rituals, regular practices of reflection that help you process and curate your notes. In short, Bujo's rituals help you refine and cultivate notes worth your attention while pruning the ones that aren't. What you're left with is a clean record of what was most alive for you at the time, which is critical for your future self to derive value from your notes. If you want to learn more about how to bullet journal or join our live planning rituals, you can scan this code here. Okay, so this last consideration is a really strange trick that's helped me future-proof my notes, and that is you have to stop taking notes for yourself. This may sound strange, so let me explain. When we take notes, we usually think about our current or immediate future self. By doing this, we tend to take a lot of shortcuts because we assume that we will remember the unwritten context around the note, and that's mostly true for a time. Eventually, time will rob our notes and memories of that context, rendering the note useless. For example, you may know who CS is right now, but you won't a week from now. Though you may know what it means to call your doctor for an appointment now, you may not a month from now. Though you may know what dinner was really fun and romantic means now, you probably won't a year from now. You get the point. The best trick that I have for this is to take notes for a stranger. Why? Because in time, our future self will have less and less in common with who we are right now. They will not share the same conditions, concerns, and yes, even the same memories. When we write for a stranger, we tend to write much more clearly. How? Just by adding a touch of context. You can think of it as like taking notes for an intern. For example, call CC re-MS cake. I would write, call Catherine C for her to pick up cake for Mark S's August 26, 2025 birthday party. This is still just one sentence, but it's significantly more future-proof. Rapid logging, another bullet journal technique, directly helps with this problem by labeling each sentence with a symbol to categorize each note quickly. Rapid logging breaks entries down into 4 categories: notes, actions, moods, and events. It helps us name our experience. Each is a single sentence journal entry paired with a symbol. When used together, you can quickly create a lot of context for future-proofing our notes. For example, instead of feeling bad because RP left, which would mean very little to my future self, probably doesn't mean much to you right now, a rapid log version of this would look like this. The event: today was Raksha P's last day. The thought: it's hard on us, probably harder on her. Mood: feeling sad and grateful. Action: send flowers and note of appreciation. In just 4 simple sentences, I was able to create notes that are greater than the sum of their parts. It provides more than enough context for a stranger like you to understand a personal experience of mine. The whole point of writing things down is because our mind struggles to hold on to even the most important thoughts. The strategies I just laid out in this video will help to ensure that you're not just collecting information, but that you're holding on to and benefiting from your hard-won wisdom for the rest of your life. In the next video in this series, I'm going to be talking about future-proofing our goals. Because what's the point of taking notes about things that ultimately don't matter? So be sure to subscribe to this channel to be notified when that's ready. Thank you for taking the time. Happy bullet journaling, and I'll see you in the next one.